and welcome. Nice to have you with us on a busy afternoon as we begin our radio program on this 14th day of March, the year 2018, as we chat to you about what's going on as far as the world of sports is concerned. Eddie Erickson's in the house today, so is Bill Zimmerman. With Steve Torrey out, Bill can hang around, not do much. Let Steve bounce around, bet his games. Cannell on a cell phone, and Steve out in Vegas, distracted, and Bill here sitting around getting ready for lunch. Colin Schmelling's in the house here as well today at 888 Mad Dog 6. That's your two-way sports talk telephone number on a great SiriusXM 82. As we got a lot to do on this busy afternoon, we got a little of this and a little of that. Bob Wenzel will come by, say hello for a few minutes there at later on, and he will, of course, begin his little two-day deal. That will be tomorrow with all the games. Tip off at 12:15 with the first 8 games in the afternoon session both days. We'll have all the games on here. We'll bring them to you. We can go to the game play-by-play if, in fact, we decide to do so. And Bob will help us analyze the games and the teams and the brackets and all those kinds of things as he's done the last 2-3 years. Done a great job. So Bob will join us tomorrow and Friday. Former coach of Jacksonville. Duke, of course, recruited all those great players from Bill Foster back in the late 70s. You've heard Bob. Rutgers, he coached for a long time, too. So we'll have some fun with Bob. That is a little bit later on. In the meantime, today, we got obviously a couple of things we got to touch on in the course of our afternoon as we shall do so. Calipari said he got $80 million offer from the Cavs. That this weekend, I think it was Esquire, or it may have been in GQ, whatever it was. He did GQ did a long story there. We can get into that in the course of the day too. But we'll start the afternoon with football and free agency and a little after effects of what occurred here on the first day. Sounds like the Giants. Just a little update. Sounds like the Giants are going to sign Nate Soldier. He, of course, the tackle from New England. Give him $60 million, $35 million guaranteed. They obviously missed out on the Panther guard who went to Jacksonville, so the Giants will go the next best thing. Boy, I tell you, the Patriots are losing a lot of players. But, listen, don't panic with New England. Belichick knows exactly what he's doing. So Deion Lewis and obviously Malcolm Butler, he had no use for anyway, both going to Tennessee. Amendola has got Edelman back, so losing him to Miami, he can live with. Soldier is a left tackle. I guess he feels he's got more offensive linemen in the mix. They haven't made a strike yet. They will. Never, ever question a great Belichick. So I know he's lost a lot of players. People have wondered about that, but that seems to be a move the Giants are going to make with Soldier to help them along the offensive line. That's number one today. The Jets are going to sign Bridgewater today to sort of bounce around with McNown at the quarterback spot. We'll see how that works itself out. They have the 2 guys plus still the 6th pick. We'll go through that. Joe Thomas retires today from the Browns. I'm a little surprised by that. Team seems to be getting better. I guess, he had the injury. He decided to go through the media car wash, and maybe he found something he liked. So, and it figures the Browns are still a year or 2 away. What's the point? So maybe he's deciding not to get involved. Who knows? A little surprised about Joe Thomas today. I was also surprised that the Browns signed Carlos Hyde to a contract. He of the Niners. They gave him $6 million guaranteed this first year. They also got another running back there. So the Browns have 2 running backs who they have just signed, which would make you think. Now they deny it. They also signed Duke Johnson. You make you think that they have decided not to draft Barkley with either one of their 2 picks, but according to folks who know something about John Dorsey and the draft board for Cleveland, that is still in play, Barkley, so who knows? Maybe they draft Barkley, but I don't think he's going to be there at 4. I think the Giants won't pass up on him. I don't know what the Giants are going to do. The draft scenario at the top is fascinating right now with what these teams are going to do. I wish I could figure it out. Even teams that have gotten quarterbacks doesn't seem to mean much. Even Denver, even Arizona. You certainly know about the Jets scenario. They'd still be interested at number 6. So you don't really quite know what is going on here. The Browns have a ton of money to work with. They signed cornerback Terrence Mitchell of the Chiefs today. I don't know why you want anybody on Kansas City, but they did that. They've signed 1 million people. Jarvis Landry, Tyrod Taylor, Chris Hubbard from Pittsburgh, and now you get Hyde amongst others. The Browns are active. Still some money probably to work with. Fellows signed with Darren Fellows signed with the Lions today. He played for them last year, got a 3-year, $12 million deal. That's a side note. But very interesting to see what Cleveland is up to, and it's very interesting to see what the Giants are up to, what the Jets might be up to. You don't know what Denver's going to do. Here come the Colts. Buffalo's got the 2 picks. I mean, it really is a fascinating situation with the top half of the draft. Part of it is because there's a bunch of quarterbacks available. There's 3 good ones, maybe just 2 good ones, but there are 4 first-round quarterbacks sitting there. The need of having a quarterback for these teams in the NFL, I mean, everybody outside of 15 teams need a quarterback. I mean, half the league needs a quarterback. I mean, everybody would love to get one. You know, Buffalo needs one. The Jets need one. The Giants need one. The Browns need one. I mean, everybody. Denver needed one. Arizona needed one. I mean, everybody in the league needs a quarterback. You know, that's part of the intrigue. The Jets and Giants are part of the intrigue. It's New York. Both teams had awful seasons, and I'll tell you, I since I live here, I sense it more maybe than you would if you're somewhere else. But everywhere I go, you know, there are Jet and Giant fans, and they are fascinated with these picks. The Giants could do a number of things, and they're in a tricky spot because they do have Manning sitting there at 37, who's not shot. And they do have a backup, Webb, who they must not think that highly of because they would have played him some this year if they did. But anyway, he is still sitting there. He's a second-round pick. Previous regime, but he's a second-round, third-round pick, whatever. I think he was a third-round pick. Whatever it is, he's still there, too. And then your Jets, who haven't had a quarterback since Namath, you know, they're there, too. So they've had a few guys in between, Pennington, Favre, and everything else. But you get the Richard Todd. You get the idea. And so that adds to the intrigue of what is going on with Darnold, with Rosen, with Mayfield, and with Josh Allen. So fascinating. The Browns are always interesting. They never get the quarterback situation right, whether they draft one, which doesn't work out, or they let one go and they get burned. They never get it right, and they have 2 picks in the first 4. So this is really a absolutely fascinating stretch of football for the NFL. They overshadow, you know, a lot of the other sports. You know, I mean, you're looking around last night, the NFL is doing football. I mean, you got NFL all over the place, ESPN2 and the NFL Network, and you're looking for St. Bonnie's and USC, and God forbid if you can't find it, it's on True TV. What? Who? Yeah, True TV from Dayton, Ohio. How many people know? I watched it, but how many people are gravitating towards the Bonnies and the Bruins on 246 on the dish? I mean, outside of Steve Torrey. Not a ton, I'll tell you that. So the NFL dwarfs everything. In a lot of ways, it dwarfs baseball, which is pretty close to starting their season in a couple of weeks. The NBA is in and out of the clouds right now. The NHL is a niche sport in and out of the clouds right now. You know, I care about the hockey, and the tennis, but that's it. I think there'd be a little interest in Tiger this weekend. So, I mean, I think that will have some juice with Tiger, of course. You know, Bay Hill, he plays well there 8 times and off the good performance this past week. So you got that going on here today, too. Matter of fact, last night I was into it. I watched a lot last night. The Golf Channel, Tom Selleck has a great voice for this. He's a big sports fan, I think. He did the NFL game stuff. Selleck voiced it. And it was I've seen the one on Nicholas, which aired last year, but it was a 3-part last night on Palmer, which I don't know if I have seen before, maybe snippets, but they did 3 hours of it in 3 different segments. The first segment was just basically Arnold Palmer and the genius of him and the media marketing ability with Mark McCormick. That was the first hour. The second hour was about his majors, not the ones he just won, the ones he lost, and they broke that down into 4 segments, about 15 minutes apiece. And then the third hour, which was good too, was on his legacy. And I watched a lot of that bouncing around to the hoops. So, and then the Tiger. So Tiger will have a little juice this weekend. There's no question about it. But the NFL is a huge story right now with what is going on. Just to reiterate what I said yesterday, I haven't backed off. I don't understand what Minnesota did. You can't give $90 million or $84 million, whatever it is. You cannot do that guaranteed to a quarterback who has never in his life ever distinguished himself in a big game, ever. And it's not like I hate Cousins. I'm just telling you the truth. If you rank the quarterbacks today, you can't put him in the top 10. You cannot, under any circumstances, put him in the top 10. I don't care what list. I don't care if his mother does the list. His father's a priest. I don't care if he does it. You cannot, under any circumstances, or that little child that we read so much about last year, the baby, who was born and he had to bounce around and leave the meetings like the only guy in the world who's ever had a baby. But I mean, the bottom line is you can't, under any circumstances, you cannot. Under any circumstances, I don't care who you are, you cannot put him in the top 10. You can't do it. It's possible. You got a game to win for your life right now, this year, 2018. Kirk Cousins would not be the top 10 guys you pick. So it was simple. I mean, he just wouldn't do it. Now, he got paid like he's the best guy in the league. And Minnesota, which last year did what they did, all the way to the NFL title, NFC Championship game, a game that, again, I've said all week, I'll say it again, pick a quarterback. Montana, you could have had Montana, Rice, Unitas Ray Berry, Otto Graham, and Dante Lavelle. They were not going to sit there, and under Marion Motley. They were not winning that game. Look them up. They were not going to win that game. Evan, that means you, Cohen. They were not going to win that game against the Eagles on Sunday afternoon. So on January, whatever it was, 19th, 20th. They were not winning that game under any circumstances. So and that's the sort of game, and that's the game that Case Keenum took them to in 2017. But the Vikings decide that this quarterback is about $20 million a year worth more and more valuable than the quarterback they just had, which I do not understand under any circumstances. And again, Cousins can throw for 100 touchdown passes with no interceptions and have a quarterback rating of 146 week in and week out. Here's the bottom line about Cousins, and none of us know this. The Vikings don't know this. Zimmer doesn't know this. Fran Tarkington doesn't know this. Alan Page doesn't know this. Anthony Barr doesn't know this. Delvin Cook doesn't know this. The Wolves, who I love, they don't know that. Mark Wolf, he don't know this. Nobody knows it. Big situation, playoffs, 21-17, they trail, minute 40 to go, one time out. Is he bringing them down the field to win the game? Nobody in America knows that. And before you pay $90 million on somebody, you better know that. And whether he's available or not, you better know it. And the Vikings don't know it. And that's why I wouldn't have made the move. Anyway, we can go have fun with that. We can do all the quarterback situations. We're getting involved. I'm surprised the NFL free agency hasn't generated as many calls as I thought it would in this last 2 or 3 days. I don't know if they're just bored with the NFL after a long year, whether, Cousins doesn't, register to him one way or the other. He's not polarizing. I'm a little shocked by the idea that, it has been sort of ho-hum on a phone bank. Now, I'm following Steve and Danny, who are breaking down Richard Sherman. Now, I might have something to do with it, but who knows? But we'll see if we can get it going here on a busy afternoon. Eddie Erickson's in charge today. We give Eddie a little credit yesterday. Dan D'Antoni, a lot of people have liked it. He, of course, the Marshall coach, we had him. We got through Larry Scott. And we'll have some fun in the course of our afternoon today. We'll give Eddie the day off. Bob Wenzel's coming on because of me, not because of Eddie Erickson. I can trust you that. Anyway, we'll get your calls in. 888 Mad Dog 6. Hey, Bruce tonight. How can I be in a bad mood? 16 after the hour, we continue. Mad Dog on.